Good morning, welcome back to our physics classes. During the last few classes, we were discussing about the properties of thermodynamics. And we have seen what is thermodynamics and the laws of thermodynamics and the topics related to thermodynamics we have already completed. So when we were talking about the thermodynamics and thermodynamical system, we have said that we are considering thermodynamical system as a ideal gaseous system, a gaseous system of an ideal gas. So we didn't discuss about the properties of gases. So this chapter is meant for properties of gases. That means the chapter name is kinetic behavior of a perfect gas and kinetic theory of gases. So the gas properties are defined by some gas laws, and some of the gas laws are familiar to you. Just like Charles' law, Boyle's law, Avogadro's law, all these laws are familiar with you. And the behavior of a perfect gas can be explained with the help of these laws. And these laws are also interrelated. These laws are not independent. It means in one sense they are independent, but they are related also. So in which way they are independent and which way they are related, all these matters we are going to discuss. And when you consider a gas, a perfect gas or an ideal gas, so ideal gaseous system, a gaseous system, for describing a gaseous system, we need some descriptions about the particles present in that gaseous system. And that will come in our kinetic theory of gases. Generally, we are saying the properties of gases as the postulates of kinetic theory of gases. That we will discuss when we are going to start with the kinetic theory of gases. Anyhow, we are starting with the perfect gas. So perfect gas is a gaseous system which can be defined with an equation. And when we are saying that ideal gas is a gas which obeys that particular equation, that is ideal gas equation, I reveal that ideal gas equation, we can't say that it is perfectly obeying that equation or that gas law, but it is approximately obeying or approximately following that equation or gas law. And suppose we are having, and Charles and Boyle's law is familiar with you. So we are, Avogadro's law is also familiar with you. We are not revising all these matters here. And we are directly going to the ideal gas equation, the perfect gas equation. For that you consider a gaseous system whose pressure, volume and temperature is P1, V1 and P1. And keeping its pressure, temperature constant, keeping its temperature constant, you are increasing its pressure from P1 to P2. Then its volume changes from V1 to V dash. So, according to Boyle's law, we can say that P2 V dash is equal to P1 V1. P2 V dash is equal to P1 V1. So V dash is equal to P1 V1 divided by P2. V dash is equal to P1 V1 by P2. Now, at this condition, that means pressure is P2 and the volume is V dash, and the temperature is T1. Keeping the constant temperature. Now you are keeping the pressure constant, that is P2 remains constant. P2 remains constant. Then V dash is changing to V2, hence temperature changing to T2. Okay, so this is the condition for Charles law, and this is the condition for Boyle's law. So at the condition of Charles law, we can say that at constant pressure, volume is directly proportional to temperature. So we can say that V dash by T1 is equal to V2 by T2. V dash by T1 is equal to V2 by T2. So we can say that V dash is equal to T1 V2 divided by T2. T1 V2 divided by T2. Then we can compare these two equations. That is V dash we can replace by T1 V2 by T2. So when you are replacing that equation there, so we can say that T1 V2 by T2 equal to P1 V1 by P2. Okay, so we can keep it here. P2 V2 by T2 is equal to P1 V1 by T1, which means PV by T equal to a constant. PV by T equal to a constant. So PV is equal to K into T, where K is a constant. PV is equal to KT, where K is a constant. And when you are considering an ideal gas, that ideal gas shows that PV equal to KT. PV equal to KT. This K is any constant. That K is any constant. And when you are considering 1 mole of gas, this K is seen to be R. This K is seen to be R, the gas constant. Gas constant. And when you are considering 1 mole of any gas, this R remains constant. So this R can be taken as a universal gas constant. So PV is equal to RT. PV is equal to RT, where R is the universal gas constant. This is the case of 1 mole of ideal gas. So if there are n mole of ideal gas, this will become PV is equal to nRT. That is the ideal gas equation. That is a perfect gas equation. Any gas which obeys this equation can be considered as an ideal gas. I already told you, no gas can be exactly following this equation, but it is approximately following this equation can be considered as an ideal gas. And from this equation you can define that ideal perfect gas constant, that is universal gas constant. So R is given by PV by T. PV by T. So when you are considering the unit, joule per mole per Kelvin, NT. N is the number of moles. So R is equal to PV by NT. It is joule per mole per Kelvin. Its unit is joule per mole per Kelvin. That is the unit of universal gas constant. And we know at NTP, that is normal temperature and pressure. The normal temperature means 0 degree Celsius and normal pressure is 1 atmosphere. And volume at this condition will be, any ideal gas will be 22.4 liters. That you know, that is NTP, the volume, normal temperature and pressure. At normal temperature and pressure, the volume of ideal gas will be 22.4 liter. So when you are considering that equations here, that values here in this equation, you can find out the value of R, and it is found to be 8.31 joule per mole per Kelvin. Its value is 8.31 joule per mole per Kelvin. So that is the value of universal gas constant. That is the value of universal gas constant. And this universal gas constant you can compare with or that you can relate with another constant called Boltzmann constant. And there is a relation between Boltzmann constant and universal gas constant. That is, R by N is equal to Boltzmann constant, where N is the Avogadro number. You are familiar with all these terms that I am not revising or not repeating all these terms. Avogadro number is familiar with you from your lower classes. What is 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 number of particles present in 1 mole of substance, that you know. So R by N is equal to K, which is known as the Boltzmann constant. Boltzmann constant. So in terms of Boltzmann constant, how we can express this equation? Suppose we consider m gram of a gas whose molecular mass is m, capital M. So number of moles will be m divided by capital M. M divided by capital M will be number of moles. So when you consider the number of moles is m by m, you can write the perfect equation as PV is equal to nRT, which is equal to m by m into RT. M by m into RT.
Okay, PV is equal to m by m into RT. And we know that number of molecules in 1 mole of m gram of a gas is n. So we can say that the total number of molecules in m gram of gas, number of moles in m gram of gas. Are you getting that? Total number of molecules in m gram of gas will be n into number of moles. Okay, suppose when you are considering m gram of gas, how many particles will be there? In this m gram of gas, how many moles are there? N is equal to m by m number of moles are there. In 1 mole, how many particles are there? N number of particles are there. So the total number of particles in that is n. Total number of particles in m gram of substance will be, or m gram of gas will be n multiplied by n. Okay, number of particles in m gram of gas. So that will be m by m into n. M by m into n. Okay, so when you are considering m by m is equal to n by small n. M by m is, m by m, and you can consider this as the total number of particles only there. See, this is n is the total number of particles. I can see this you can replace by mu, where mu is the number of moles, otherwise it will be creating confusion. See, mu is the number of moles present in m gram of gas, and in 1 mole of gas n number of particles will be there. So total number of particles will be n is equal to mu into n. I think now this is very clear. So what is mu? Mu is equal to m by capital M multiplied by n. So m by m you can replace by n m divided by capital M you can replace by small n divided by capital N. Okay, small n divided by capital. What is that? That is mu. So you can replace that equation. PV is equal to mu RT. Remember, initially I told you this is nRT, where n is the number of moles, not the number of particles. Remember that. Now I replace that number of moles by mu. So don't get confused there. Initially I use the notation n there, P is equal to nRT, where n is the number of moles in the gaseous system. So here mu is the number of molecules in the gaseous system. So PV is equal to mu is equal to, or m by m RT you can replace by n divided by n into RT. Okay, this can be taken as n into R by n into T, which is equal to NAT, where K is the Boltzmann constant. Okay, so PV is equal to NKT is the ideal gas equation in terms of Boltzmann constant. Here this n is total number of particles. Remember that. Mu is the total number of moles and n is the total number of gaseous particles present over there. Okay. Okay, now we have the ideal gas equation, perfect gas equation, and we can go for kinetic theory of gases. Kinetic theory of gases describes a gaseous system perfectly, and for that we can have some postulates, and these postulates are very simple statements, and they say that in a gaseous system all the particles are identical, rigid and very small. In a gaseous system the gaseous particles are small, identical and rigid. Okay, and these particles are in random motion. Random motion means there is a very almost zero interatomic force existing between these particles. So these particles are in random motion. So when they are kept in a vessel, they can collide with the walls of the vessel and they can impart force.
and that force generates a pressure. So gaseous particles can exert pressure on the walls of the vessel in which it is taken. And during this random motion inside the vessel, they collide with each other. And the distance traveled by a gaseous particle between two successive collisions is known as mean free path. It is termed as the mean free path. Distance traveled by a particle between two successive collisions, that is mean free path. And time duration between two successive collisions is known as the relaxation time. Time duration between two successive collisions is known as the relaxation time. Okay, so these are the postulates of kinetic theory of gas. Okay, these are the postulates of kinetic theory of gas. One more thing, the collisions are perfectly elastic, which means momentum and kinetic energy both are conserved. Okay, so these are the postulates of kinetic theory of gases. And remember, we talked about relaxation time and time of collision. And relaxation time is the time taken between two successive collisions. When you are comparing that time with the time of collision, time of collision is very negligible compared to the relaxation time. That means within fraction of a second they hit and move away. That is the nature of collision. It's a perfectly elastic collision. Both kinetic energy and momentum are conserved. And we are interested, among these postulates, we are interested in one point, that is the pressure exerted by gas in a container. We have already said that whenever a gas is taken in a container, it can exert pressure on the walls of the container. So we are going to try find out what is the expression for pressure exerted by a gaseous system. For that, you consider a cubical container of side L. Cubical container of side L. And gaseous system is taken inside, 1 mole of gaseous system is taken inside, and we are considering a particle inside that. And it can have the freedom to move. Suppose the one corner is, or one corner is at the origin. So X direction can be defined, Y direction can be defined, and Z direction can be defined. Okay, so this particle can move either in X direction, Y direction, or Z direction. It has equal probability of moving in X direction, Y direction, Z direction. So when you are talking about the velocity of the particle, the V can be taken as Vxi plus Vyj plus Vzk. You know what are ij's? Okay, so we are considering only one particle, and that particle is moving along only X direction. So it is moving towards the right with a velocity Vx. So it possesses a momentum, and that momentum is m into Vx. With this momentum, it is moving from the side A to side B, phase A to phase B. And it hits with the side in phase B and it bounces back. Since the momentum is conserved, it is moving back with a momentum minus mvx. Okay, so the change in momentum for the particle delta p is equal to minus 2m vx. Why is minus 2m? It's final momentum minus initial momentum. So that will become minus 2m into vx. Momentum lost by the particle. What about the moment lost by the particle? That is gained by the wall of the container. So the momentum obtained by the side B will be 2mvx. This is the delta P. Delta P for wall will be 2m into Vx. Okay, so this is the momentum imparted on the wall of the container with a single particle with a single collision. How many collisions can be within a second? How many collisions can be within a second? For making one collision from the side A, it has to travel a distance L. It makes a collision, then moves back and again coming back there. With that, it has to travel a distance of 2L
with the same velocity Vx. So Vx divided by 2m will be the time taken. Once it hit with B, it travels to A, it hit with A, bounce back, again coming back to B on hit on B. So during or between two successive collisions, it has to travel a distance 2L with a velocity Vx, so T will be Vx by 2A. And we need the frequency, so 1 by T. 1 by T is 2L divided by Vx. So what happens there is, time will be distance divided by velocity. T will be 2L by Vx. So n will be Vx by 2L. This is the number of collisions happening at the side B per unit time. So momentum imparted by one particle on the side B within 1 second will be n into 2m into Vx, where n is the frequency, that is Vx by 2L. So delta P will be delta P divided by delta T per unit time, or delta P, you can keep it as delta P only. 2m into Vx into Vx by 2L. 2L to get cancels. That will become m by L into Vx square. What is this? This is the total momentum imparted on the side B by a single particle within second. Momentum gained by the wall per second. Rate of change of momentum, that is change in momentum per unit time, is force. So the force exerted F will be m by L into Vx square. M by L into Vx square. And now you can calculate the pressure. What is the pressure? Pressure will be force per area. Force per area will become m by L V square x divided by L square. So pressure will be m by L cube into V square x. M by L, which is equal to m by V into Vx square. What is this V? Volume of the container, volume of the container. This is the case when one molecule hit at one face. With the same velocity, with the same, for the same particle, it can hit with the y direction, it can hit with the z direction also. So we can say that equal probability also. So we can say that it has equal tendency, or it has equal tendency to move in x direction, y direction and z directions. And moreover, we can say that it is only the particle in case of one particle, and it is moving with the velocity Vx1. So another particle is moving with another velocity Vx2, and another particle is moving with Vx3. So Vx square, we can take the average of Vx1, Vx2, Vx3 like that. So we can have n into Vx1 square plus Vx2 square plus Vx3 square divided by n. This is the average of, or when you are considering different particles, n number of particles. So these n number of particles can hit with the side B. They can impart momentum. So the total momentum or a total pressure exerted by all the particles on the side B. I already told you this is the pressure exerted by one particle. Suppose there are n particles. These n particles are having their velocities Vx1, Vx2, Vx3 up to Vxn in x direction. So the total pressure exerted will be, suppose this is P1, Vx1 square. Pressure exerted by the another one P2 is will be m by V into Vx2 square up to n. So the total momentum, so total pressure exerted will be m by V into Vx1 square plus Vx2 square up to Vxn square. No chance of any doubt. This is the total pressure exerted by all the particles along x direction. Now, you just multiply with n and divide with n. So, this will be the average velocity along x direction. This is the average velocity along x direction. So, that will become, that equation will become P is equal to m into n will be, where m is the mass of one gas particle, small m is the mass of one particle, and I told you there are n number of total particles. So m into n will be the total number of total mass of the gas system. So that will become m by v into, this will become vx square average. Vx square average. And now we can consider these particles have the equal probability of moving in a y direction and z direction also. So we can say that Vx square average equal to Vy square average equal to Vz square average. Okay, so V square is equal to Vx square plus Vy square plus Vz square. So, all these three are equal. So, we can say that V square is equal to, V square average is equal to 1 by 3 into Vx square average. So, sorry, 3Vx square average. Vx square average and Vy square average and Vz square average are equal. So, we can take it as 3 into Vx square average. So, Vx square average is equal to 1 by 3 into V square average. 1 by 3 into V square average. So, this Vx square average you can replace by P is equal to m by V into 1 by 3 into V square average. What is this V square average? This is the average of squares of velocities of all the individual particles. Average, this bar indicates average. Average of squares of individual velocities. Okay, so P is equal to m by V into 1 by 3 V square, or m by V is density rho, so P is equal to 1 by 3 rho V square average. P is equal to 1 by 3 rho V square average. This is the pressure exerted by a gaseous system. This is the pressure exerted by a gaseous system. And from this equation I told you P is equal to m by V into 1 by 3 into V square average, or P is equal to rho by 3 V square average. So this is the square root of average of square of individual velocities. So when you are taking V square average, that will be 3p by rho, and when you are taking the square root of V square average, that will be root of 3p by rho. Now you see this left hand side. This is square root of average of squares of individual velocities. Root of mean of squares of individual velocities. That is known as VRMS. Root of mean of squares of velocities. Root means square velocity. That is VRMS. Why we are choosing this VRMS? I already told you in the postulates. These particles are in random motion. So when particles are moving in random motion means some velocities are positive, some velocities are negative. Some, when you are taking the vector sum of all these velocities, it may be 0. That doesn't mean that the particles are at rest. So to avoid this condition or this contradiction, we are choosing RMS velocities. RMS velocities means that negative velocities are also getting squared, then it will become positive. Then take the average of that. First you square the individual velocities, then take the mean, and then you take the square root. That is root of mean of squares of individual velocities. That is VRMS. So that is the RMS velocity, and the RMS is given by root of 3 pi divided divided by rho. Root of 3p divided by rho. Okay, so that's all for today. We have started with the kinetic theory of gases and we have seen the properties of kinetic theory, postulates of kinetic theory of gases, perfect gas equation and pressure exerted by a gas. Okay.